If you're new in town or just new to this whole podcast thing, you're tuning in to Law by Night, the podcast that discusses all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the Masquerade. In this episode, we shall discuss the breeds of the Garou and how they exist in the world of darkness, as well as the different forms they become to protect Gaia and combat the forces of the Wyrm and Weaver.
I can see you're eager to start, but will you calm the fuck down? You are young of mind, body, and spirit, cub. A Garou can spend years training for their rite of passage, but it can take months, depending on the need of the sept, and you will be ready whenever that time comes. Your confidence is common enough as a bit cocky, and I do not approve of how you are treating your forms, and you will be educated and reprogrammed in this, cub. Our forms are 5 different physical aspects the Garou can change into, which are Homid, Glabro, Krynos, Hispo, and Lupus, with the all-human and all-wolf forms on the opposite end of the scale. Of these 5, 3 are naturally occurring breeds the Garou are born and thus feel more comfortable in. These are Homid, Krynos, and Lupus. All forms feel natural and right for the Garou, something I'm sure you've already taken for granted. The first change would have taken, I don't know, several minutes. Now your bones, flesh, and sinew stretch, grow, and snap at fast paces. I will note that the fairer, the changing breeds that are not werewolves, have their own forms of varying amounts, with their own names. For example, the Nuwisha, the trickster were coyotes, have 5 forms that are similar to our own, but are far inferior in terms of strength, whilst the Ratkin have 3, whilst the various were-cats, collectively known as the Bastet, are born as cats and have a feline form, not lupus. In most cases, you will shift your entire being from one form to another. Rare is it for one singular part of your body into the form of another, such as your Homid arms to that of Krynos, but keep the rest of your form the same. Now there are 2 reasons for this. First, shape-shifting and regeneration is always incredibly painful, and this imbalance is as uncomfortable as fuck, to be blunt about it. This leads to the second point. It is often an awkward process visually. Why have the hands of Glabro when you can just shift up to Glabro fully? For some, partial transformation provides a nuanced subtlety, a discipline they choose to practice, whilst others may need, say, the muzzle of a lupus to sniff something out but cannot afford to become lupus fully for one reason or another. One does not get the benefits of regeneration either, so it is a very risky thing to do in a combat setting, cub. The biggest of these risks is losing your clothes, and bulking out apart at an important business meeting and losing your sleep is, at best, inconvenient. Only with a rite of talisman dedication, or rite of dedication for short, will cause some items to grow with you. As for the forms themselves, no 2 forms offer the same experience. Homid and Glabro are humanoid, but Glabro offers slightly more enhanced hearing. Hispo and Lupus are wolves, so their vision is low light and colour, but it is the Lupus that has most enhanced hearing, sense of smell, and direction sense. Hispo, of course, has the more lethal bite. Krynos is in the middle of these, providing the pros and cons of Glabro and Hispo in terms of senses. What this all means is that each form is going to naturally perceive and interact with the world differently, based on this alone, but let us explore each form in detail. Homid is the natural form for the breed of the same name, which I'm only telling you for completionist's sake rather than you needing it, I hope. It is the form that is the most identical to the human form with some caveats. If your breed is Krynos born or Lupus, you are able to regenerate in this form but cannot handle silver. As most Garou are Homid, most cannot regenerate in their natural form. It does however provide the grace and stupidity that humans possess when interacting in this world, hindered greatly by keeping one's rage in check, because remember, mortals can sense that from us. Hopefully, at least one of your pack has a means of sustainable income, because your normal means are long gone, cub. There's also the fact that Homids can make use of opposable thumbs. What? You don't have to be a terribly deep individual to appreciate the simple things. Many loopers who first discover their hominid form spend a lot of time picking things up, manipulating and learning more about their newfound dexterity. The explosion of colour that comes with this is too beautiful as well, like one is gifted to see Gaia in her true beauty, as well as all the filth that is clogging her lungs. The near-human form that is the Garou resembles hominids only in being bipedal, lacking obvious claws and fangs. Note, Cub, that I said obvious. Teeth and nails elongate, yes, but not enough to do more aggravating damage. They often gain up about a foot in height and possibly up to triple the body weight, all in muscle. Your clothing may start to shed here, assuming you don't have the aforementioned right, which I would be surprised if you personally did at this point. Hair sprouts in more places, your brow juts out more, often with a hunched, predatory back, in addition to the other many physical features that bulk and stretch awkwardly. This is not the form assumed to do what hominids would call fine motor skills. Those in this form can converse in the Garou and human tongue, but you probably have discovered already that you have reduced one or two conversations in their human tongue, that is. So conversation with a hominid in this form is used sparingly. The Silverfangs, for example, have this strange custom of greeting each other in Garou, believing the form to possess an inherent regal ability, training themselves to speak clearly in this form, pushing 2 words to 2 sentences, but most Garou seen being addressed as Garou is an invitation to pain. Rare is it to be mistaken as a human in this form, unless you are in a poorly lit environment several paces away. The Garou form, however, is ideal for intimidating weaklings in whatever form that may take. The imposing size can reduce most humans to piles of their own piss and can do wonders on breaking down doors, but provides the safety that the Krynos form doesn't. The Krynos form brings death, Garou brings only pain. It is difficult to move carefully in the Krynos form, but Garou can still sneak efficiently. Enough. As for the Krynos itself, with what I'm told is a 25% increase in height, the war form of the Garou is the living embodiment of rage, whose sole purpose is to kill. This can be taken in 2 different ways. Riddled with top-heavy muscle, fangs and teeth, there is nothing on Gaia that knows what comes next if one of us bounds towards you on all 4s or on 2 legs in the Krynos form. But there is also in the sense that some of our youngest have to exert their willpower to prevent mindless bloodshed in the form of frenzy. Your generation of Garou is growing softer by the fucking year, Cub. These Krynos cannot use weapons either. A huge step back of generations of training and finesse gone. It is almost a miracle that you're not chasing your tails all the time at this point, or that you even have one at all. Anyway, the Garou in this form can converse the Garou tongue perfectly, but really cannot converse more than a couple of words of the human language, though I suspect the Krynos spawn have a slightly easier time with this, for it is not a form most calm Garou can assume. It takes great practice and a lot of gnosis to assume this form without the urge to kill or hurt something. This is important, as many of our sacred rites are done in the Krynos form, but it is also the very center of what we are, werewolves. I could see that you didn't think of that. For most, there is no risk of entering a frenzy just by being in Krynos, and there is much one can learn through practiced patience, riding the waves of a frenzy. It can be a sign of leadership and dominance, such as in the case of the Fenrir and Shadow Lord, so a travelling silent stride in Krynos will have to quickly judge what is the overall perception of being approached in Krynos form in a given sept. Krynos' power commands and often demands respect. It is not pushing the red button, going nuclear, taking the safety belt out, or raging out. The gravitas of poor handling can lead innocents to their death, and the veil so easily broken. It is a power tool from Gaia, not a teenage fad. The rage of the Krynos is distilled into an acute laser point form. It requires good focus to channel properly, and mishandling is a very easy way to lose honor. And yet, despite all being natural to the Krynos born, it is still just as challenging for them to receive half the recognition for twice the effort they put in. The Hispo form resembles what humans call a prehistoric dire wolf, a murderous approximation of the natural grace of a wolf. Huge, bulking wolf-like features with a jaw and teeth larger than the Krynos, but weighs just as much as one would in the Krynos form, including much thicker and heavier fur, protecting them from whatever bit of debris they charge. Like the Krynos, one in Hispo can stand on its hind legs, albeit with some difficulty, but obviously lacking hands. Speech with other wolves and Garou is possible, but with some difficulty, though to attempt to speak a human tongue requires plenty of concentration. Despite being more nimble in the previous forms, it is certainly not as nimble as a lupus or a wolf, where it lacks in grace it makes up in sheer power. I would personally be hard-pressed to find anyone who would mistake a Hispo for a large dog, or any form of wolf for that matter. The Hispo form brings forth a primordial traumatic memories all humans have locked away inside. They cannot avoid that they are in the sights of an apex predator. Therefore, it is not a form you will find many Garou using outside of combat and chasing things through the Umbra, though lupus-born Garou are more comfortable fighting and hunting in Hispo than the Homid counterparts. Finally, we have the Lupus, which are leaner, swifter, and more agile than any of the other forms, driven by instinct with our exceptional senses, allowing us to slip through the wilderness and alleyways with more ease than others. Lupus breed Garou can regenerate in this form, but the Krynos-born and Homid cannot. Lupus converse with wolves only also. For a Homid, this is the most alienating form for them to adjust to. Certain senses are heightened, others are dulled, and they have an additional pair of legs to try and balance on, aided by a tail at a much shorter height. Sense can provide everything or nothing, depending on which way the wind blows or what is used to cover it up, be it pollutant, right, or gift, and in this day and age, it is more so often the former. Being in lupus form for too long may cause trouble around humans, which, for someone who is lupus bred like myself, is a little disconcerting. There are fewer lupus born being born around every year, with some tribes having next to no lupus in their ranks. We adapt to Hispo easier than in other forms, while shifting to Homid causes all sorts of issues, similar to Homid to lupus but in reverse. While some loathe the adjusting to this way of being, such as the Red Talons, some are fascinated by the opportunities their two-legged forms can bring, like the Red Talons. These sort of lupus find it difficult to stop talking. Can you guess which one am I? My point is that adjusting and existing in this world of humans is, quite frankly, exhausting. It is almost as if you are pretending to be someone else, or at least guess particularly social cues so you don't look or sound too strange, and if you do make those mistakes, find the best means of correcting yourself. So, to remove the mask, as it were, in our safe environment where we can run free without consequence is exhilarating, as we can be ourselves, tapping into all of our senses, not pretending to be what is essentially a bold ape. Of course, many don't make the connection between the sheep mutilated and the farmers hunting us down a week later, but such is the way of the curious lupus. I doubt you would pick up all these nuances in one sitting, which leaves it down to you to explore in your own time and explore at your own will. If you are to remember anything from this lesson, each form is a blessing, a different tool from Gaia for a different occasion. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you have to quickly decide which one is best for the job, otherwise you, your pack, and Sep will suffer. And if they do, so does Gaia.
To be kept updated, follow the Lore by Night VTM Instagram and Blue Sky pages to find out when we upload each episode. You can also find out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking on the little bell, as you'll be immediately notified when the latest episode is live. Until next time, farewell.